All right, let's talk about the project for chickens. How we're going to solve all the chicken problems in the entire world. Well, it's a real good book. I'll put a description in the link below about raising your poultry flock in a better way. It's relatively new, last 5-10 years, and it's kind of the best one I know of. I forgot the name, sorry. But I've raised chickens for a long time now. I only have 3 right now because I'm not in a very good position to take care of them. I've got 2 hens and a rooster. The rooster was recently donated, and that's good because they might go broody and hatch out some chicks. I've got a rat problem in there. I got issues. My fence is not high enough. My fence should be tall and smooth. I had plants on it for a while. Stuff can go through the fence. It's a chain link fence. Snakes can go in there. Ravens come in from above and rob eggs. The rats rob the eggs probably. A dog got in because the fence wasn't perfect and killed 5 hens. That's not very polite behavior, is it? Maybe one of them was a rooster. I don't remember who was a rooster and who was a hen. But it was kind of a bummer. All he had to do was have an opportunity to get under there. And this is not a story that, you'll only hear from me. Almost anybody who's raised animals has, not had a good enough fence and something got through it. But we can fix that. This is the biggest cost. I'll start out with it. I just finished a video about rabbits. And so we'll start out, and we're talking about walls. We need high walls that are smooth, that things can't get through. And no trees near the wall. And the wall should be high up enough so that any chicken we have that we're fattening up, we keep them pretty fat, doesn't tend to fly out. No buildings near the walls that they could get onto. So the building would have to be higher than the wall, so they couldn't jump to it from a tree. Yeah, we're trying to keep them in there. Now I know we can clip their wings, and we did that. That's fine. It's another to-do item. And walls create microclimates. The budget, I don't know if I ever mentioned the budget on the rabbit video, but it's tens of thousands of dollars for making a walled courtyard system. And we can rotate animals through a walled courtyard system so that, for example, the chickens go into an area and we let them eat the bugs there and then we kick them out, put them in another place. Or we might let them eat everything in there until there's nothing left. Maybe they go in there and they're going in there and it's just full of green matter. We've let it grow to maturity and we've got everything's in there. We harvested some stuff out and then we just let them in there, and they've got maybe their little mobile, or maybe you have 2 entrances on a few different coops and stuff. It could be that we also rotate rabbits through these same ones. I tend not to like that because I don't want cross transfer of diseases, but I don't think they share any. We have to check that out. They have pretty different biology there. It doesn't matter as much what kind of trees are in there. For the rabbits it does, because they like to eat around the base of things. But short trees that provide excellent shade, that's the goal. Black oaks are fine. We can have all kinds of places in there for them to hide out. We need to have ways to call them, like, hey, there's extra cool food we're giving you and we're throwing it over here. Especially after they eat all that plant matter and the insects that are in it. We can even throw rotting stuff in there, rotting logs and branches and parts, so that there's more animal life in there. All kitchen waste, almost all, goes to the chickens. They obliterate it. And that's the most important food for the chickens. What I'm trying to describe here, I'm getting with pieces of this, okay? I'll try and maybe put it in better order for you. But I'm describing to you what you would see if you came here and you saw a system like this. But there's other very important parts to making the entire chicken system. And this is a system that I would like to have happen all over this municipio, this county. I have these brilliant ideas, I think they're brilliant, on how to raise chickens better. So we've talked about the housing a little bit. I have a place that has, little spots that they go and they lay eggs and everything. The goal with chickens is not to raise them for meat. Now, some of them do end up getting used for meat, extra roosters, and hens when they're old. But any hen producing eggs, that's a very important creature. And we do want them to produce fertilized eggs. So we do have roosters. The roosters will crow. And we're not going to do surgery on them to get rid of that. That's just weird. It's a farming aspect of something. Get used to roosters crowing, because they're going to do that. And we have the right number of roosters and enough space so they don't fight. We want to always be ready to separate roosters. But, roosters tend to have their little harem. And they know who they are. So if I put new hens in there, sometimes that rooster won't like them. And certainly the other hens might not. There's jealousy issues. So we want to have kind of groupings of chickens and have enough spaces, some of which could be not even that big, it depends, that we can have little flocks in, And like I said, we can have composting going on in there with forest plants, and rotting logs and all that. But the key is that we want this food waste from the kitchen. Now, currently I'm one person, so I have very little food waste. But we have gotten food waste from the market before. Any restaurant that has food waste, we don't care whether it has grease in it and bits of meat or anything. Chickens love meat. Sometimes we get bones for the dogs. We should give them to the chickens, because they'll go in there and get that marrow and everything. Also, here's what I'd prefer with the bones for dogs, is if I tell the butcher, don't cut up the bones and then give it to me that way. I like it when there's big pieces, like there's scapulas and things like that. All of those should be monitored. They should go into chicken areas, right, that are fairly dry. They could also be put on ant mounds, but they have to be, protected from dogs. But we could have ant mounds that we even fence in and then feed the ants. And then we could drop a piece of bone in there and they would clean it. Why the heck do we care about these bones so much? Bones are a resource. So I'll get back to chickens here in a second. But they can be used as art supplies. We can cut them up. We can carve them. They're consider it like cheap ivory, Ivory might be better. But chicken bones are also useful for a variety of things. Those big femur bones, those are cool. And so if we can get those cleaned up really well, sterilized, we could paint them, use them as art. Who knows what? All part of the system. Back to the chickens. Okay, so we've got our protected spot, we've got our housing, we've got our little nesty spots for them, we've got our schedule to harvest the eggs, we record how many eggs got harvested, we have temperature logger in there so we know what temperatures they're at, and we can actually correlate the temperatures they're experiencing with how many eggs they produce during the whole year. We individually identify every single chicken with a leg band. It's a little rubber band that goes around their leg. I don't think it hurts them. But every chicken is tracked. Who knows? Maybe we have a web page where you can check out every chicken there is. Maybe you'll be a fan of a chicken for a while and then you'll end up eating it. I don't want to raise pets here for that. Chickens are more likely to be like a pet because they're friendly, some of them. I have plans on how to raise a friendly chicken. I have really cool plans for that, where we have young chicks in with people in places during the day, in the morning for coffee, in the sunrise, and the little chicks come running out at you because they like you. They associate you with giving them food. They associate you with goodness. Can that be done? Probably. We can play music, make them mellow. Make them so that they don't fear humans. They like them. And there's reasons for this beyond what we do here. It makes the whole experience better for everybody. We want to have supplemental lighting during part of the year in feeding areas. And so these courtyards that we have, these are, we'll call them, this is for rabbits and chickens both, animal friendly courtyards. You know, we can include human use, and we can consider a variety of human uses. So in an area that is a chicken yard, there should be excellent places to sit and watch chickens for humans, and with no barrier between them. Now, I'm not sure if people should play with chickens all the time, because maybe you can get, what's that sickness with a S? It's not salmonella, is it? No. I don't know, but you might be able to get some from chicken. And there could be avian bird flu. You know, who knows what the future holds. So we do want to be very careful with human-animal interactions. But let's go with trying to make them friendly. We can always raise unfriendly ones later. Now, I mentioned that we have a rooster. Where do chickens come from? Well, you buy them at first. You buy the chickens or the eggs, and after that, you got to get your chickens through incubation. And I favor incubation over hens raising their own babies. I have a reason for that. It's an economic reason. The only reason to have a mother do it is because it's cute, but it's inefficient. It's just not ideal. You only want to have the rooster with the hens that you're trying to breed, and you're only trying to breed the best hens. Best defined by something. If you can, it would be great if we could track what hen laid what egg. Not going to happen. Probably. It could happen. Here's how that could happen. I mentioned this kind of crazy idea with the rabbit thing as well. And I generally want low tech. I really do. But if there was a computer and cameras watching the nesting boxes, which is difficult since I want the nesting boxes maybe to be mobile. They don't have to be. I could just have more than one and then switch them off occasionally for hygiene issues. You know, like that might just be just a thing of where I open one door and I put them in another courtyard and I close the other door. So now the house, they have access to the same house from another side. If there was two houses, I could also rotate houses. Now I can rotate houses and courtyards by having in the middle of the wall these nesting boxes and have enough of them, right? The right number. So to get fancy again, the cameras could be trained on the nesting boxes, and you can tell when a hen gets in to have an egg. It's easy to tell. You don't need fancy AI really. And who knows, you might be broadcasting their behavior, and there could be a thing that says, hey, this chicken just sat down and is going to probably make an egg. I mean, you could actually get notified. The system, if you had certain kind of chickens and they looked different enough, it could identify and track each individual chicken. Now, the little rubber band might be tough for the computer to read, so that might be tougher. Do we need to know that detail? No. No, we don't. We don't care who was the mother of any given chick. But we want to put together in special places, so it's a separate flock, the males that we want to breed with the females. Sometimes just one male to avoid fights. But if your space is big enough, like I said, they'll figure it out. The thing is, we want to pick up those eggs every day. We want to put them in exactly the right temperature and humidity to be stable. And that's not a very warm place. And it's not too dry. We could leave them in the nest, but we want to get them as quickly as possible. We're going to try and use these to fill up an incubator. We have 10 days, and that's on the outside. I don't like that. It's too far out. 10 days before that egg is viable. It has an embryo in it, a tiny little zygote. And So we have 10 days to collect eggs and to fill a 40 egg incubator, or whatever size we end up having. And I want to, work on getting better incubators. They run on electricity generally, and for now, that is the best way to do it. We can investigate other ways, but using a commercial incubator that has an egg turner, that has the eggs at exactly the correct temperature, and it's easy to candle them if we want to, a really good incubator system. And we do batches of 40. And maybe we have more than one incubator going on at a time. That depends on how many chicks we want. Remember, half of them are going to be roosters. And we'll raise the roosters for meat, and then we'll kill them. If we like somebody and we're trying to help them raise chickens better, then we'll set them up with roosters and hens. For most people, we'll just sell them hens. The actual product for us is going to be the hen, not the egg. Because I want somebody else to raise eggs closer to town who wants to focus on that. I will sell hens because then I can sell them when I want to, just when they're young mothers. As soon as they're either about to lay or do lay, in fact, I think tracking them at a certain age, when they start to lay, separating them for a bit, feeding them, visiting them, during this really important time of young henhood, we really baby them a little bit, But what we want to do is see when they lay their first egg. And so if you have a batch of chicks, right, they're going to go through a few stages. We got 40 chicks, all right? Let's do the game here. We got 40 chicks, and it took them 22 days to incubate to become chicks. Now, we put them in a solar brooder. That's a huge topic. It's a big project. Needs to get financed. It is an evacuated tube, solar hot water heater, heated space, which may be part of that thing I talked about, a little cafe place where you're close to the chicks or not. It probably might be attached. So you can open it up, you can move chicks around. You may have a display case at this level, at eye level. I guess eye level is a little lower for some people. And you have chicks that you can watch in there playing like a terrarium. And that way they're warm. You have lighting on them when you want to. Maybe they have a dark section they can go to. They do need to be able to get closer or further from light. So maybe we have 2 layers in this thing, although we have to be able to clean it and stuff. I'm getting too complex, too complicated. Anyway, that would be really cool. But even funner is to hold them in your hand and play with them. And then they have access to the outside. The reason that this brooder, this solar brooder, is so interesting is because you're just really heating something up with a thermal mass with this solar hot water heater. And it's going to keep heating because the solar hot water heater is below slope of this area, of this place. And you can overheat part of it. And then you can have it be big enough or long enough so that you have cold areas. And then the chicks just simply move themselves back and forth to the right temperature. They're always at the temperature they're comfortable at. They have water available on various spots on the side of that. Nice clean water all the time. They have deep mulch in that, meaning that they have a bunch of Tierra de Encino, and I want to build their immune system. And so not just sawdust. I've used sawdust before. It's fine. But Winumo and forest crap, we'll just make them go nuts hunting around in there. We could toss bugs in there for fun. If we had a grasshopper infestation, we could feed them grasshoppers. And it has to be such that we can scrape it out, clean it out from one side, but we probably wouldn't clean it out very often. And if we had more than one, then we could alternate use, and that would reduce risk of it being too dirty. But we have composty things in there, we toss fruits in there, kitchen scraps. We teach them how to be chickens. Because they don't got a mother, so we got to be their mother and their dad. Well, their chicken dads don't do much for the chicks, but mother hens are very attentive, and so we need to be like mother hens. And so we keep them the right temperature. They have a space to play outside, and that space has a wire above as well, because there's predators above, and we have the ability to have 2 doors on different things, so that we go to put them out in different courtyards. So we alternate the courtyards just like we do the more dense brooding area.